Welcome back to another MLB Classic breakdown here with Hold the Door DFS and TKNation. We are excited to bring you a combo breakdown here. We are going to be going game by game in a big 10-game slate that does involve Coors Field, which we did see come back to life a little bit tonight after I think it was the night before where there was like 5 runs and the top 5 hitters, combined for like 5 points or something like that. But we saw Arenado finally get the monkey off his back tonight. Even a little Chris Owings going deep in the 8-hole or 9-hole, whatever.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I mean, just what you like, where the runs just start happening just because you're playing guys there. So it'll be a fun slate to break down, and we love having TK here. Love him in his in the parking lot, but I think this format works a little bit better too. So, all right, yes. TK, we're going to jump into the odds first here. And you'll see our screen share. Mm-hmm. Not everything is up on Bovada. This is we are recording on Monday night. And the totals, the biggest totals you're seeing here is, like the Braves and the Blue Jays, Angels and the Mariners. And then obviously we do not have right now Coors Field game. The Rockies and the Giants are not showing up yet. So anything you want to start out with here?
As far as pitching, and some matchups, is usually how I start. If I had one thing that sticks out in odds, one thing Chicago will never have their odds out, and their totals. Well, they have odds based on pitching matchups, but their totals will never be out because they always wait for the weather because of the wind. If the wind is a big factor in Chicago, the books will usually wait to have their wind finders ready come morning. Looks like based on the pitching matchup for Coors, when we get there, you'll see that it's going to be a pretty large total. This is a really big pitching slate. I think that you're going to find a lot of pitching matchups are going to be pitching will win the day. You can't miss on pitching tomorrow. I don't think Coors is going to be something Coors is going to be the contrarian option. I've seen some lower ownerships today on some of the bats on the Giants side. Even on the Rockies weren't as high owned. I think people are getting really scared of these high salaries. They want the safety nets of pitching, and they're going to understand quickly that Coors can win any slate any day. Like tonight where Yastrzemski and Dickerson and Owings and Nolan, game stacks of Coors won the slate. So that's it from like a strategy point of view. We can deep dive in here game by game, and we'll break down pitching and hitting in this way.
I do think, just on that note before we get in, I think you go like a year or two back where those salaries were like high 4s, low 5s. It was a lot easier to still like play one stud pitcher, one punt, and get six guys from Coors Field. Now that they are just a lot more aggressive in their pricing, it's making it less chalky, I guess. But I think that's good for it. It forces people to make a decision. It's not just lock and load every slate.
Right. Yeah. Yastrzemski's probably 5'9", I think today. He was 5'9" yesterday. We've seen Trout over 6K. I know that wasn't a Coors slate, but yeah, DK's getting really aggressive in their hitting salaries. It's really forcing you to make decisions in pitching. And I think tomorrow for cash games, pitching is going to be pretty pivotal.
Let's start out with the first one with one of the most expensive pitchers on the slate in Patrick Corbin, pitching against Steven Matz. Who do you like here for pitching?
I'm definitely on the Corbin side here. He's a -140 favorite and 9.5 total. Total's really high, suggests that one of these hitters is going to get blown up. Corbin facing the Mets. He did go 6 1/3 last time out against the Yankees and struck out 8. Looked really fresh. The Mets just lost Cespedes due to personal reasons. McNeil got scratched before the game. I also saw Rosario and see a watered down lineup. I think that'll make Corbin really good for GBPs. 10-4 is going to be high on this slate with a lot of pitching options that we do have. So yeah, Corbin for GBPs in a good spot against the Mets. He does have good BBP numbers against the Mets, done really well for them in the past. What about you? Are you thinking Corbin, really good numbers, really good play for the slate?
Yeah, I always like Corbin's, obviously, his strikeout upside. The only thing that
Yeah,
was a little bit concerning to me is that he only went 75 pitches last game, and I don't know if that was
right.
like a first go around type of thing, kind of warm up his arm. But it doesn't sound like, just kind of based on here, it sounded like he was just kind of limiting them the first start or two when they still had injuries with Strasburg, so they're having to use like Fetty and Voth in
Yeah.
potential long reliever spots where they might now be able to unleash some of these pitchers a little bit more because they got a little bit more depth in their bullpen. But yeah, I do think the Mets, with some of their better hitters like McNeil from the left side, it's a good matchup for Corbin here at home.
Yeah. I think the 9.5 total is going to be coming from the hitting side for the for the Nationals. I'm not going to be on Matz at all, so I'm good on.
Any hitters that you're looking at here in Washington?
Oh yeah, Howie Kendrick's a lefty smasher. Kurt Suzuki's going to be a pretty good. It doesn't look like we got a good salary relief on Kurt Suzuki. DK's been really tough on the catcher position for salary. I've been trying to find good punt catchers. That's typically what I do. But they've been really middle of the pack pricing salaries for some of these usual low salary position catchers. Kurt Suzuki is a guy that usually was under 3K from time to time last year that I benefited against the lefty, but not really getting salary relief there. Maybe if Yan Gomes cracks the lineup, that'd be something to target. Soto still not back. Trey Turner is going to be a little too high for me. The Nationals. Oh yeah, there you go. Starling Castro is a pretty decent option. The upside's a little limited, but
Yeah, I mean
what do
his
you have on
upside.
that?
Yeah, I mean his upside might be a little limited, not as much home run power, but I mean the guy's going to probably be hitting 3 or 4 again at 3,300. So
Yeah, you can't
definitely
go wrong
worth
there. Yeah.
worth it on a slate. You might be trying to get in a couple of Coors bats. So
Yeah, it looks like Jan's down there in salary too. Yeah, that'd probably be it for the Nationals. It's tough to pinpoint their lineup, so I think that's good to move.
all right, let's move on to Atlanta and Toronto. We have Max Fried and Mr. Shoemaker, both priced, pretty appropriately. Either guy you have a lot of interest in here. Another game, I think that was a 9 total or 9.5 total.
Yeah, this is the 9 total. I really like Max Fried. The Atlanta Braves pitchers have been really good at producing ground balls. Tonight, Soroka was before he obviously tore his Achilles tendon. He was producing ground balls left and right, and then he popped his Achilles, started walking guys, gave up 2 hits, and then he got stretchered off the field. So not good for Mr. Soroka. He was cruising, but unfortunate for him in his young career. I think he can bounce back. It's going to be a long road to recovery, but all the well wishes. Max Fried is a better pitcher pitching from the left side. 8,500 on DraftKings. He's got an 11% swinging strike rate, 9% K per 9, 24% K rate. Last time out, he had 7 Ks and 6 2/3, and he only gave up 3 hits against the Rays, which is a really good lineup. So I do like Max Fried. He has really good upside at 8.5. I think you can get to your 20-point plateau against the Blue Jays lineup that hasn't seen the field due to some unfortunate circumstances and matchups to where they didn't get to play because of COVID.
And I'm assuming you're passing on Shoemaker here on the road.
Yeah, on the road. Shoemaker's okay. I don't hate Matt Shoemaker because he does produce some strikeouts. It's just the matchup that I don't like. The Braves have been really hitting the ball pretty well. They're going to be at home where they've been playing, 2 straight. I think they played 2. Yeah, they played 2 straight series at home. They're going to get another series at home because Toronto can't play in their home ballpark. I'm not sure if this is where we start in Buffalo because I didn't know if the stadium was ready. So that's something I'll have to look into come tomorrow. But yeah, if this is in Atlanta, I'm definitely all in on the Atlanta side. Probably not going to be a stack, but maybe some one-off hitters like Acuna, Freeman. Albies sat today, so Albies was in today. He sat Sunday, so he's got some rest in those legs. Marcell Ozuna playing really well, but this looks really expensive from what I'm seeing here on the screen share. gonna have to pass on the stack. Maybe look for some one-offs.
Yeah, it would definitely feel a little bit more GPP to me.
Sure. Yeah.
Again, when you're getting pricing that's pretty similar or close to Coors and maybe some other
Yeah.
good matchups that we can target. All right, moving on to Baltimore and Miami. Caleb Smith and John Means, the two top running Cy Young candidates against each other on the mound.
This was a stay away for me on the pitching side. It's like Caleb Smith is a kind of guy I like to see some kind of recent form on. I don't like coming in cold with Caleb Smith because of his walk rates. Are generally high. He does have good K numbers, but Baltimore has been blowing up every pitching option I've tried to pitch against them this year. Means on the other side had a really bad outing to start the year. I think Miami chomping at the bit to get back into play also could hamper their at bats. Not being able to see live pitching. I think they've been away from their facilities for this period of time during COVID. So Means in play for that reason as a punt. But I have even on this kind of this slate with more pitching options, I still have guys in his similar price range that I do like more from an upside standpoint, with or without Miami playing for almost 2 weeks. So going to be a stay away on the pitching for sure. How about you? What about you? What do you think on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, Caleb Smith always has that upside, but I like the point you made that guys like him or Gio Gonzalez or these lefty strikeout guys are normally also really erratic, and if their form is off, that it can just end their start so fast. Like, how many times has Gio Gonzalez has been in like a smash spot in his prime, and then he walks 5 guys before 3-4 innings, and then he doesn't make it out of the 5th inning. Like, I relate him to Caleb Smith a lot, like a lefty that's got really good K upside, but walks so many guys, and they're not people you want to play when they're not hitting the strike zone. So, yeah, I would definitely stay away as well.
That's kind of like Heaney on this slate too. Heaney is a guy that can strike out 11, but at the same time he can walk 4, give up 5 hits, give up 6 runs, and he's out in the 2nd inning. And you're like, well, shit, that lineup's toast. That's how I feel about Caleb Smith. So I think we're on the same page there.
You're right. You want any hitters, or can we move on to the next game?
Hitters. I mean, you could play both sides of the hitters, but I just don't know who exactly. Maybe Austin Hayes against Smith if he does get erratic. Santander. You do have is that Nunez and Hanser Alberto, 2 guys that hit really well from the right side. I'd be more interested on the Baltimore side of the bats than I would be Miami. That's kind of where I stand on that. Like I said, Hayes, Santander, Hanser Alberto, and Nunez would be my bats.
All right, let's move on to the next one. We have the White Sox and Milwaukee with Giolito and Woodruff. Pretty good pitching matchup here. Obviously, we saw Woodruff, I think it was like 37 he had? 10 strikeouts. Yeah, 37, 10 strikeouts against Pittsburgh. Only gave up 1 hit, 1 walk. Pretty impressive. I know we were on him that first game. A little bit of a letdown compared to that 37-point outing, but I think we can find somewhere. I think we can find somewhere in the middle at a really nice price tag here.
Yeah, I think the price tag on Woodruff is perfect. This is an 8.5 total. Woodruff is already the favorite at home in Milwaukee. Milwaukee is kind of dealing with a crossroads type of moment for their baseball team. Kane walked away, and Yelich has been garbage, and their team has been taking loss after loss. My tribe are in the same kind of crossroads. It's like, what are we doing? Tito's not even pitching. Tito's not even with the team for the Indians. It's kind of bad it's getting. I don't want to vent, but I am. The Brewers, though, Woodruff 8.3 on DraftKings is a really good price. 10 Ks in his last outing. The White Sox, they can put up a couple of runs, and they've been hitting really well, and they've been a really good surprise team of the year so far. But Woodruff, I think, is really strong. He's starting to find his zone. 10 Ks per nine, 10 Ks in his last time. 10 Ks per nine, 29% K rate, and a 2.2 walk rate, 11 swinging strike rate. Just produces massive strikeout numbers at 8.3. That does carry some risk. This is Brandon Woodruff, who can, produce 5 points or 35 points. I thought maybe Woodruff would be more consistent, but it's only been 2 games, so it's tough to gauge that now. But Chicago, I've been using bats for the last couple of days, and I do like the other side of this pitching matchup too. So maybe I'll stay away from bats, but I don't think I'd be all in on Woodruff, so to speak.
Yeah, I think Giolito, you would assume here could find his form, is more of his long-term form. Like I would expect some positive regression out of him
Sure.
here soon, especially if against a struggling Milwaukee team. I think you're getting him probably 1,000 cheaper than he would be if he was in his actual form. So I think that might be maybe more of a GPP pivot, but I do think people, I guess I didn't see his price today, but Luis Robert, if he continues to lead off, and
he's crushing it.
He basically is almost an automatic steal attempt every time he's on first base. So if you're not playing Woodruff, I do really like him at 4,100 if he is leading off again. Other than that, for the hitters, I think, I think it's tough to target against Giolito, even though he hasn't been that great. And then, I don't know. There's still a lot of strikeouts on Chicago's side. So I think Woodruff is obviously in play just because they're, they've added guys like Edwin and, Grandal. Grandal still strikes out a decent amount. So I think he's, I wouldn't be scared away from the White Sox lineup just because they've added a couple pieces.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I'm with you on Giolito. I'm actually more on the Giolito side from a gut feeling standpoint. I understand the Woodruff play, and I love the Woodruff play, but I think the positive regression for Giolito is coming, and I think the Brewers is a smash spot. I think I'd be more inclined to use Giolito in more lineups than Woodruff. I think Woodruff is good play as well, but I'm on the White Sox. The White Sox have a lot of annoying lefty bats, and I just think that's going to get Woodruff into some trouble. Luriel, Garcia, Yohan Makata, like these guys take a lot of pitches. Abreu takes a lot of pitches. I think Woodruff could get the high pitch count going, and he walks guys from time to time. So I'm afraid of that more so than I am Giolito against a bunch of Brewers that are literally striking out at ungodly numbers right now. So I'm on Giolito. Probably going to be a cash pick for me.
Nice. All right, let's move on to the next game here. KC and Chicago. I was on Mills tonight. I played.
Same.
I know you had him too. Now we get Hendrix back. Didn't he have he had 9 Ks in his first game against Milwaukee, and then got lit up against Cincinnati. And then we have Brady Singer.
Yeah.
Was a new name for me. I'm no KC farm expert on their pipeline, but I think he's one of their up and coming pitchers. And actually looks like 14 swinging strikes. Must have some good stuff. I just don't know a ton about him. And at 6,900, I don't think it's an awful play. It's just at Chicago is a tough environment for
sure. Yeah, Singer not going to be on my radar as far as a play. But yeah, he is one of their young prospects. Does have good slider action against righties. He's going to run into some trouble against lefties in his career. He's already given up some hard contact to lefties. We know Rizzo, Schwarber, Ian Happ, the lefties in the Chicago lineup can be pretty deadly when they are hitting well, and they are hitting well. Rizzo hit another homer tonight. KB hit a homer tonight, his first of the year. Rizzo, Baez, they're kind of crushing the ball. So Singer definitely not on my radar. If the wind's blowing out, I'm going to have interest in their batting stacks as well. Hendrix on the other side, 7,700 as a -200 favorite with the no total, like I mentioned. The complete game shutout to giving up 7 runs is kind of crazy. But it's not really something we see with Hendrix. He seems to be pretty consistent. based on those 2 games, it's hard to gauge where he is with his form. But what you do know is you get a lot of ground balls. You get a decent amount of control with his pitching. KC has been really dead stack as of late, so I could see using Hendrix in maybe some GPPs.
I feel like both of Hendrix' performances were like still outliers to where his norm range would be. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like
First
it's this bottom to his top. There is no. Yeah.
Well,
I think you get the middle game this next game.
You're right. Yeah, something that's more consistent. So I did take a peek at Chicago's pricing when I looked at this Singer guy, and
Oh my
Kyle
gosh.
Schwarber at 5,700. I thought, wow.
Oh.
So I mean, I do think that the stack here is going to be a little bit contrarian for the lefties, like you said.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That just tells you the amount of the spot that they're in. I mean, is that Ian Happ at 39? Probably would be my favorite play per dollar, so to speak. He has the same upside as Schwarber, but almost 2K less. But Schwarber safer. I just think Ian Happ has that same upside per salary. That's crazy. 5,700, and we don't know what the wind's doing. That's wow. Okay.
Yeah, so they're GPP for me. I don't know if you want to elaborate any more on them, otherwise we can move on.
That's GPP for sure. Yeah.
All right, let's get to the fun one here. We're not even gonna really talk about pitchers, I don't think, unless
no.
So let's just go to the hitters.
Yeah.
Let's start on San Francisco side first here.
Love it.
Who do you like best for hitters?
I'm a huge Mike Yastrzemski fan. I picked him up in my season long. Cranked out a homer tonight. Just loving in the Yastrzemski twilight zone that has been his season. First overall in season long statistics. He's been crushing the ball for the Giants. I'm probably going to play him every single day here in Coors as such a super fan as I've been. Alex Dickerson looks to be under 5K. He's going to probably bat second or fourth against the righty and Marquee. I like that name as well. Belt, another lefty, looks like he's coming in at a low 4,300 price tag. Pence has really good BVPs, batting over 412 at bats with 2 homers against Marquee. He's only 4,200. So it looks like this Giants side minus Yastrzemski is fairly cheap for their Coors matchup.
Yeah, and I think tonight I think Solano was 5K. Dickerson, I think, was the same price. I think Belt was like 4,800. So there was definitely a discount. I don't know if they're just taking in that Herman's on the mound.
I think they are, yeah.
Slight, compared to Chichi Gonzalez, who didn't make it out of the second inning.
I called that.
or whatever. I maybe made it to third. Cueto kind of hung in there for a while and then gave up the bomb to Arenado, and then his night was over. But yeah, I think you're definitely going to get a discount on this side. I mean, you are probably seeing a slightly more difficult pitching matchup than Gausman, but
absolutely, yeah.
I mean, again, if you're looking at that,
still Coors, yeah.
Still Coors. I mean, I feel like you don't, the pitching differences you don't value as much as you're looking for hitters or platoon splits or things like that. But
sure, yeah,
yeah. On the Colorado side, I think. I really still like Daniel Murphy at 4,500. That he's still hitting like 4 or 5, and he's been having a good year so far. So I think his discounted price is nice. David Dahl, I'm still waiting for that monster game. He hasn't had a home run yet this year. He hasn't even. I don't even know if he has 1 extra base hit, 2 extra base hits, and like 7 or 8 games. So
dribbling
I think he might
singles.
Yeah, I think he might go a little bit lower owned than the top 3. But I think we always see the most ownership on Story just because of position scarcity. That people can get to other guys in the outfield, and then you almost always see Story being the most popular. And he does have the home run plus stolen base upside. But who's your favorite targets here for Colorado?
I think you nailed it. Trevor Story was going to be my favorite of this pick because of the position too. So you pretty much you nailed it on the head. Arenado was struggling until the homer last night. That could be a kickstart for him. Blackman has been a guy I don't typically like to play, but at home at Coors you can't ignore. He's not like he hasn't really been the 4 hits kind of Blackman player as he was during the 2018 season, but he does hit homers from time to time, especially at home. That's a majority of where his homers are. Man, I was gonna ask you to drop down to Kemp because they keep mispricing him. Played him against San Diego in that homer spot. He had another 2 hits, or I think he had another RBI single tonight. 3,600. He's gonna bat fifth. I love the spot for Matt Kemp as well. 3,600 is auto lock for cash games.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, well, I think he hit 7 tonight, but I don't remember who bumped him down. Oh, they had McMahon batting 6 and Murphy batting 5. So against the righty, he's probably going to be a little bit lower. But regardless, we know the upside. And even if Owings gets another start, 3,200. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
That's
in Coors.
So. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Good stuff on the Rockies. Probably going to be on both sides tomorrow.
Awesome, me too. All right, let's move on to the Dodgers, and we have 4 games left. The Dodgers and the Padres. We have Lamet and we have Dustin May on the mound. For me personally, with most Dodgers pitchers, I don't feel super comfortable with with how they're managed. And then you get somebody who barely is only in the rotation due to injury and then probably doesn't have a long leash. I think May is an easy fade for me against a good San Diego team. And then you have Lamet, who has got more strikeout upside, but again, a brutal matchup against the Dodgers. I don't know. Are you leaning either or none at all?
Yeah, I'm with you on the Dodgers pitchers. I've been kind of in a stay away spot. Like I didn't play Walker Buehler tonight because we got the report that he was going to be limited to 75 pitches. When you tell another opposing team that, okay, my starting pitcher, whether it be an ace or the 5-hole starter, is going to be limited to a pitch count, I'm going to be telling my hitters to get up there and take as many pitches as I can. And if your guy's going to struggle to throw strikes, then there seems to be no fantasy point to play someone for a team that's going to have them already limited. And, you're trying to find things that don't limit your safety nets, and especially at pitching. And if you're going to have a manager that's going to tell the opposing team that I'm going to limit the guy that's going to oppose you, it just seems senseless in my opinion. So I'm not on the Dodgers for that reason. Dustin May is a decent prospect, but I don't know, like you said, how long he's going to go. So I think that's a really good analysis. And Lamet, I'm not going to target against the Dodgers lineup, who is just too good. Lamet's a good pitcher, but the salary is insane to stack against to go up against a team like the Dodgers.
Right. Well, I know you're paying more for him than like Giolito or
Sure. Yeah.
That's tough.
Countless.
Yeah. For hitters, at least for San Diego, for me, obviously Tatis Jr. is always in play, but it's going to be tough to get him. Paying for him in San Diego compared to paying like the almost the worst park to pay for someone in, and then go pay for Trevor Story for like 500 more.
Agreed.
I do love the form of Trent Grisham though against.
Oh, this guy's awesome, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the only, my lasting memory from last year, like I said in an earlier one, was when he botched the ball in the outfield for the Brewers to lose the game. But as a hitter, when he's getting these matchups against righties and he's hitting in the 2-hole, he seems definitely underpriced for his talent and his ability to steal bases and hit home runs, which I always love. So I'm probably not stacking here, but I do love this might be one that I'd look at targeting, these top 4 in the late slate against May, who I don't think will run that long, and then it'll just be like bullpen by committee. So
Greg Garcia is a good cheap second baseman option too if he's batting in the 2-hole against a righty. That would be probably it for me from San Diego. I love Grisham and Machado.
Anybody from the Dodgers you'd be looking at in the main slate or the late slate?
I think a stack for the Dodgers is always viable, but against Lamet, who's really good at limiting hard contact, I think this is a good spot to stay away. One person on a BVP standpoint, Jack Peterson's got 4 or 5 hits and 3 of them are homers. So
had another leadoff home run tonight too. So
yeah, he just cranked one out tonight. So yeah, Jack Peterson, if you want one-off late slate play against a decent pitcher.
And Pollock even against righties has been getting that 5-hole. Like they keep underpricing him too. He's only 3,300. So I assume if he's in the lineup, he could be a decent value on that late slate too. So
yeah,
on to Mr. Lynn, the former Twin, and Luzardo. We just talked a little bit before this that we got on here about Luzardo, who's made a couple long relief appearances. He is one of their top prospects and one of the top pitching prospects in the entire major leagues. But I think we still don't have a lot of clarity on how long he's going to be pitching. So even in a matchup against a potentially strikeout happy Texas, he's kind of a fade for me. But I think Lance Lynn on the late slate looks really appealing as a potential option. But other than that, I think he's too expensive against an Oakland team on the road.
Yeah, the thing on Lance Lynn is he's only given up 3 hits through 12 innings, and then he's got 17 Ks and 12 innings to go along with that. 6 walks. It's kind of like his MO. Gets himself into some danger and strikes his way out of it. Only an 8 total. He is the 150 underdog against the hyped up Luzardo. 9,900 is a pretty steep price, especially when you have, like I said, pitchers like Giolito, Fried, Woodruff, and then a player or two to be named later. But I like Lynn for GPPs. The A's just went off for 7-8 runs in an inning tonight. So it seems like they found their rainbow moment where the pot of luck was there, and the stack kind of went off. And I had an A stack, so I was kind of enjoying that before I started it on the videos and stuff. So yeah, Lynn's good. Always being nervous about teams he's faced a lot, and he's faced Oakland a lot. So
I think I see a little bit of regression coming from him.
Yeah,
that's average 30 points an outing. So
unless he's going to be a Cy Young candidate, and I don't think anyone had that in mind when they started the season.
No. From a hitting perspective, there's no one that nothing that really jumped off the map to me. I mean, you might get like Nick Solik at hitting in the 2 spot against a lefty, which is a nice matchup for him. I thought that was decent. Obviously, Frazier can always hit a couple bombs off lefties, but against a strikeout happy guy, he likes to strike out. So other than that, I don't know, nothing that really stuck out to me.
I didn't see any bats I liked on this matchup. No.
All right, let's
priced up too high. All of them, really.
Yeah. All right. Here we have Arizona and Houston. Mr. Bumgarner at 7,200, and Javier. I think Christian Javier, right? Yeah,
Christian
Javier at 6,500. So I think let's start here with Javier. I see somebody.
Yeah, I like this
tonight.
Yeah, I like this guy. Looked at his AAA numbers last year, 13 Ks per 9, only a 128 average against with only 28% hard contact rate. Those are really good numbers. I know it's the AAA, but still, numbers to put up like that are impressive. He's one of the top prospects coming out of Houston. He's filling in for Verlander, so he's got big shoes to fill. So you can feel like the weight on his shoulders is trying to elevate his game, and it did so in that first start. Out. He went, I think, 5 2/3. Struck out 8 against the Dodgers. That's a really good lineup that he did that against. So I was really impressed with him in his last start. This is a 9.5 total, and he is only a 105 favorite. So it suggests that some regression is in order. I have a feeling his walks could be an issue, although we haven't seen it become one. But once you get more film and tape on a player, the hitters have more of an idea what to expect. So we'll be careful with Javier, but obviously at 6,500, the risk isn't that high, especially in GPPs. I think he can really benefit in a matchup against Arizona at home in a temperature-controlled environment. Arizona's not really blowing the cover off the ball either. So Javier's in a decent spot. I like him a lot.
Doesn't it seem like Houston just has like these pool of pitchers that are like prospects that fill in start, and then they like have one game like was it Jose Urquidy? Yeah,
Yeah.
you have like a little streak of like 2 or 3 games where you strike out like 6 to 8, and then all of a sudden you're back to being like a 3-4 inning guy because you can't make it through 5, and then you have some horrible starts.
You just
Framber
described,
Valdez and
yeah. I was gonna say Josh James. You just described
Josh
Josh
James.
James.
Yeah, that's the other one. Like you get like 3 or 4 that are like the exact same like that. But
Yeah, I think we're still on the run of good at Javier before we start to see some bad. So we'll ride the high real quick before we see the bottom drop out.
all right, on the bats, Houston priced up pretty big here, and
Yeah.
Brantley lefty on lefty. I mean, Gurriel's still really cheap, 3,700. We just haven't seen any of his form yet from last year.
Yeah, no. Well, he's getting hits. It's just he's not getting any extra base hits.
Well, didn't he? And he had like a career year last year of home runs.
Right. Yeah, the regression's coming into play, and now their stacks kind of priced up there, and Bumgarner definitely can get into some trouble against Springer. I think Springer's a strong play against a lefty always. But like the Dodgers, it's just the Houston Astros is not a team I like to pitch against. And then, anytime they're up against a lefty, I have no problem going to them. But, I think I'm just going to gravitate towards Coors and gravitate towards, other matchups instead of trying to pick on Bumgarner.
Yeah, good idea. All right, our last matchup here of the night is the LA Angels against the Seattle Mariners. Heaney on the mound at 8,000 against Justin Dunn. I mean, my first look, 8,000 felt a little bit too cheap for the matchup. But again, like you had mentioned before, there is definitely the risk versus the reward just with somebody that can get kind of wild. But you get them kind of all smashed in the middle here with like Woodruff, Heaney, Giolito, so there's definitely, and Fried, there's a lot of these options in the middle. So where does Heaney rank for you in that tier?
So I would definitely go Giolito 1, Fried 2, and then I have Woodruff 3, and I had Heaney 4, Hendrix 5. I think that's how I had it rated. I like Heaney for the strikeouts, the 11K per 9, only a 2.8 walk per 9, 47% hard contact rate's really high, but he had a 14% swinging strike rate. So as long as he's missing bats, he's going to produce good numbers for DFS. The Mariners are a stingy team. They have been all year. They have been putting up decent walk numbers. They're not a team that's going to pound extra base hits down your throat. But, players like J.P. Crawford and, D. Gordon, these like dinky bunt single lefties, like they just do such damage to your pitchers when they're drawing walks, running up pitch counts. And Heaney is a guy that's already going to have a run up pitch count. The 9 total, minus 170 favorite. It's going to put him on a lot of people's radar to pick. And I'm more inclined on a fade for Heaney because of how oddly stingy the Mariners have been when it comes to producing hits and walks.
Yeah, another thing to point out too, and I don't know if there's a reason why, but he has been, pulled after only throwing 65,
60s twice. Yep.
67. He was super efficient against Seattle last time, and then they just pulled him. So I mean, I don't know, maybe there's some other reason that this hasn't been reported. But let's go to the hitters here to close it out for LA. I assume that's the side we're on. Trout should be back from paternity leave, assuming he passes all of his COVID protocols. Otherwise, we have Rendon at 5,400. Otani, I don't know if is he playing?
No, he just had an MRI come back positive on an elbow injury. Yeah, he's out.
But we should see some value still in the guy like Justin Upton, who's going to probably hit in the 3 or 4 hole. Fletcher leading off likely. So I think there's definitely some value. I just don't know if this is a spot you're going to be paying up for Trout or Rendon on the main slate with Coors Field.
I definitely am not paying up for Trout and Rendon, but one thing I am looking for is some cheap bats in this lineup. Goodwin is a lefty that's produced some really good numbers. Gonna face a righty. He's only 3,300. I like him. Good one down there in outfield position. Look out for someone like Joe Adell, young prospect for the Angels. If Ohtani does get sent to the DL, they could bring someone up like Joe Adell, maybe give him a debut. That's going to be something really exciting to see. Joe Adell's one of the premier hitting prospects in the league. Another player I like, Castro at the catcher position. He does hit righties really well. Fletcher, and you have La Stella. I'm not sure if La Stella's back from injury yet, but that's a lefty that you'll get in the low, second base, third base option. Matt Thies is a good lefty for first base if they decide to give Pujols a break. But yeah, some cheap lefties in this lineup that we could benefit from and maybe help us fit some Coors bats.
Yeah, it pains me to hear you say anything positive about Jason Castro. But I mean,
the Twins.
Because he's going to get 2 at-bats, then Seattle brings in 1 lefty when Castro's up. He's pinch hit 4, and then his day is done. But, yeah, Joe Adell would be really fun to see. I have his card on MLB The Show, so I know he's a good prospect. I mean, he's got like a 88 rating or something like that. But I know he's got speed, I think, and maybe a combination of speed and power. So I think that'd be
a little bit of both,
fun person to be up there. But I definitely think you're going to see, the same guys like Upton and Fletcher probably being decent values in the top, Fletcher leading off and Upton hitting in the 4-hole. So, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not really targeting anybody for Seattle. Their prices are cheap, but I don't think, like you said, I think they're the dink and dunk, the annoying hitters. You're not going to, lefty on lefty, Seager could hit a bomb, but I don't think it's really worth a spot in cash.
The only one I have is Kyle Lewis, a righty for the Seattle Mariners. I think he's 3,800. I think that would be a spot you could target. He's got batting over 300 with 3 homers. He seems to be their power bat of the lineup. Bats in the 3-hole. That would probably be the only guy I'd have severe interest in, other than a Shed Long to bat in front of him as like a 2v2, and maybe pivot off some chalk. But those 2 guys seem to be a really good combo for this Mariner bunch. And then if you want to wrap around, stack it with someone like Dylan Moore, or, if he cracks lineup versus a lefty. So there's some options. Austin Nola is a really cheap catcher. I've tried to make him work from time to time. But he's not really doing anything, but he's so cheap, and I've been trying to punt catcher for a couple of days now, and I can't find a good punt catcher. So
I think
the search continues.
I think he made it like he was like second in the order the last time they faced a lefty. So I mean,
and that's why I tried it.
He might have some lineup value in terms of where he's hitting, but what he's actually produced at the slate has been pretty brutal so far.
Right.
Any last takes here for our viewers before we sign off?
Coors is pretty big stack. Obviously, I like that a lot. And then I think as far as like a stack that's not Coors that I think can go off, I'm hoping that the wind isn't blowing in Chicago. I'd love to do a good stack with the Cubs tomorrow. And maybe I've slightly talked myself into having some Baltimore exposure versus Caleb Smith.
Awesome. All right. Well,
that'll probably do it for me.
All right. Yeah, I like that take too. I think obviously Coors is definitely doable with if you get away from the top tier pitching where we previewed. There's a lot of mid tier and a couple values that can definitely make that work. I'm kind of in the same spot with you, but we will try to come back again as often as we can. Again, you can get our VIP week, but also be looking out for some other deals. We're looking at, doing some other giveaways for some subscriptions here. So just be on the lookout on our Twitter page and in our Discord channel. So with that, we will sign out and we will get back to you guys later.
All right. Thank you.